It took way too long for this video to get out, but can you blame me? I've had a lot on my plate. I'm sorry, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to use the actual video. I'm only going to be able to use I took screenshots, and I went through the whole process. You think that it'd be easy. Well, it's not the most easy thing in the world, let me tell you that. I either have the option to take screenshots with print screen and crop them out in Photoshop, or to use a special trick where I press the Windows key, the Shift key, and the S key all at once, and make the right type of screenshot, and that's what I do. And it takes a couple of tries, so I screw up a couple times. But before I get into the actual explanation of the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button. And I hope you like my brand new intro, because I had the whole thing reworked, and I hope you all like it. I put in the theme from when you're fighting Galeem and Darkon at the same time in Smash Bros. and I ordered all the right scenes and screenshots. I'm glad I finally did it. The whole thing was reworked. I'm not sure if it'll come out as a short yet, but we'll see. So the first look trailer starts out with the regular Nintendo Switch just floating there, but then the Joy-Cons come off out of nowhere, and then the screen gets bigger. Then it looks like some type of entire layer comes off, and the layer starts shattering into dust, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool concept. It's all about presentation, everybody. Aside where the Joy-Con opens up, and then we get a glimpse at what the bottom of the system looks like, which is just about the same as the original Switch, but it's Switch 2. It's going to be improved. It's not going to be all that groundbreaking. I mean, we already got the idea of it being able to switch between handheld and TV mode, but either way, it's a Nintendo Switch. Of course, it's going to have similar designs. After the volume and power button gets placed, and we see the speakers go on, and then we see another USB-C port. Does that mean that it's going to have two different points of charging? Because I honestly don't see what Nintendo's planning to do with that, but we'll figure out how to use it once it's coming out. Then we see little cracks appear that show a little recliner that makes it so that it can go down all the way, which kind of reminds me of the reclining feature on Switch OLED compared to the original Switch. If you have a rough family like mine, then you'd know that something like this sort of recliner that isn't all that thick probably wouldn't last long, but I do like the idea. Next we see the Joy-Cons flip and get bigger in a black form, and it seems like this time the colors are going to be on the inside of the Joy-Cons rather than the outside. But as the buttons for the Joy-Cons side that sticks in to the Switch itself, we see a little hole there, and at the top it seems to be some type of sensor. Not only that, but there's also an extra button next to the home button on the right hand Joy-Con. We get some cool sort of techno music, which I find pretty catchy. I'm done. Next we see them click into what look like little adapters that look like they slide into the original Switch's Joy-Cons, but these click in instead. And I don't know what about these adapters, but for some reason, whenever I see the Joy-Cons getting put into the adapters, for some reason, I'm thinking that there's like a hollow space, maybe even a long hole going along the edge of the Joy-Cons themselves. But hey, that's just me. But I do see how this could be convenient. I mean, I like being able to push the little buttons on the adapter that go onto the Joy-Cons with the little string. But if there is like a long hole going along the Joy-Con so that we could press the actual buttons themselves instead of pressing buttons that press the buttons, sorry, then I personally would find that a little bit convenient. Not only that, but we see the magnets on the inside of the Switch console screen itself, and we also see colors on the inside. Does that mean that the Switch Joy-Cons are going to be exclusive to that one Switch screen? Because why? I mean, it's one thing that Nintendo needs to make you buy two different consoles in order to get two different types of Pokemon that you can't get in one Pokemon game, but seriously, that's just... I don't have words for it. I'm sorry. But hopefully that isn't the case. The rest of the trailer reveals itself as some sort of viewing horizon sort of type where it looks like the camera is going across the edges of the system itself, getting a good look at it. This is a blink or you'll miss it moment, but the Mario Kart 9 seems like it's able to have 24 different characters playing at once, with wow. Just wow, I say. We see the console plug itself into the Switch dock, which is a little bit more rounded around the edges, which I guess it being less pointy is a one up. We see the Mario Kart 9 playing on the big screen, and the Joy-Cons go into their adapter, and the handles seem to be flat so that the magnets can stick into it, which is a little bit convenient for me, if I say so myself. I know that I'm saying a lot of things are convenient, but it's supposed to be the Switch improved. So there's not really much to go over. And of course, backwards compatibility. No successor to a console can't have it. I mean, the SNES being the one exception. But anyway, moving on. At the end, we get the date for the Nintendo Switch 2 lineup of games. And that's pretty much the end of it. So yeah, the Switch seems to have been improved in Switch 2, and there's a couple of things that we don't know about it yet, but once we get like a detailed explanation of it, hopefully coming in February or March before the April Direct, then here's hoping. But if there is going to be a Nintendo Switch 1 Direct coming out tomorrow, then we'll have to be prepared for what games are going to be released alongside the Switch 2 games. Could we be having like one more game coming in March along with Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition? Could we finally be getting the date for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and maybe one extra game coming out within the time span of Switch 2's games coming out? That is something that is yet to be determined when and if this ever happens. Maybe it's been announced by now. Maybe they're already getting ready for the live stream, but I'm recording this a couple days early, so I'm not able to see into the future. Now, I've only been going for about 8.5 minutes, but I still need to get a couple of things out of the way, like a discussion of a couple of small details that I'm going to be making a bigger deal out of than I need to. Starters, like I mentioned before, will the Switch screen have exclusive Joy-Cons to itself? Because I'm desperately hoping not. Oh, please, no. That'd just be an insane decision. No one would want that. I definitely would want that. I'm sure a bunch of retro gamers wouldn't like that either, because that'd just suck. I mean, I listened to podcasts on retro games, one of them being Remember the Game, and the host, he's talked about how people needed to buy not just the other copy of Pokemon, but also another entire Game Boy. That what I've heard isn't the best. Like, Nintendo's trying to get them to spend as much money as possible, and that's still the case for today. People are trying to get people to buy not just the extra game, but also another console so that you're able to connect it to the other game. It's a whole scheme, not scheme. It's a whole way on how they do it. I mean, It's pretty common now, I'd assume. People could probably just buy used Switches or something. Or used consoles, you know, all the stuff, If that's going to be the case for this Nintendo Switch, except it's the actual Switch 2 console Joy-Cons itself, I would not like to see that. That just sucks. Second one being the USB-C port on top of the Nintendo Switch 2. Is that going to be like another charging station? Will we be using that differently? Heck, maybe it's even a USB port. I mean, being able to connect to a hard drive or a thumb drive to be able to collect videos and pictures off of it, I would love that. Personally, I would love that. But we did see how low that the recliner on Nintendo Switch 2 could go, so maybe it is just another charging port. Maybe it's just another charging port for if we want to like set the Nintendo Switch up against the wall, but we're not going to be able to like recline it and charge it at the same time. This would be really helpful. Trust me, I mean, I like being able to put my Switch down onto the desk and just click away. That'd be so lucky for me. And I'm sure not just me, I'm sure a bunch of other people would agree with me as well. I mean, type in the comments if you agree with me. As for adapters, well, the adapters do look like they could have holes in them, but I don't just mean the adapters that have the ropes on them. I also mean like the ones that click in with the handles. That one right there. That's the one I'm talking about. I mean, it looks flatter from a view and also a little bit shinier to imply that's flatter. I mean, how else are we going to be able to click the Joy-Cons and instead of sliding them down? I mean, we've had the Switch for almost 10 years now. I'm pretty fine with just being able to slide the Switch Joy-Cons down into the console, which is pretty fair, but being able to click them in and out will be much more convenient, especially if you've already gotten used to how long you've needed to slide the Joy-Cons up and down, up and down. You get my point. What other accessories could we be getting, perhaps? I mean, if this game has backwards compatibility, does that mean that games will start being mass-produced with the accessories that come with them, like, isn't there, like, some Nintendo Switch exercise game that has, like, a wheel that you push against and the Joy-Con goes in it? Will they now be mass-produced to have accessories that fit the Switch 2 Joy-Cons? I mean, it makes sense, but I think that's really just what we're going to be seeing. And you know what I also noticed when it demonstrated that it had backwards compatibility? That it had Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I mean, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I kind of consider Super Mario Bros. Wonder the, like, this is the Mario game that should introduce new players into a franchise with a nice, simple to understand game that isn't hard, doesn't have much secrets, and is pretty straightforward. Plus, and it's kind of in modern day, so it has some like modern day traits, like collecting at least 2 or 3 of this thing, or getting to the top of the goal pole. Those are understandable. But hey, let me know what you thought of the video, and please hit the like and the subscribe button. I'm hoping I can see you at the Nintendo Direct tomorrow, but I highly doubt that I'll be live streaming it. If anything, I'll just be watching it and seeing how it plays out. That is, if it happens tomorrow. See you all next time, everybody. TTFN ta for now. Shout out to anyone who gets that reference.